This is Open Studio with a show called Be in the Business, and I'm your man, Jamie Thurston Wyngaard. This is a show about entrepreneurship, but not just entrepreneurship. This is about who business people are and the challenges they face and what we can learn from them. So I'm sure you're sitting there at home thinking, I've got a business idea, or I know someone that has a business idea, or you might know someone that's busy running a business right now. This show is for you. In studio today, we have my youngest guest to date. This is Marlin. Yes, and Marlin is a young entrepreneur, and we're going to talk about funding today. This is an issue I know a lot of entrepreneurs have to worry about of how do I fund my business. And for someone so young, I think it's kind of really cool how Marlin overcame his funding challenges. Before we go into the challenges, Marlin, who is the Marlin?
Yes, as you said, I'm Marlin Adams. I am a second year student at UWC, studying psychology, anthropology, and philosophy. Like you said, I'm 20 years old, so still fresh in the business game.
Mm-hmm.
That's me. Yeah, and I came from Ravensmead. I'm still living there now with my parents as well, obviously because I'm still young, you know. So, yeah.
Well, some people move out, but I guess you stay with, and that's also quite fine.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you're a student.
Yes, I'm a
I
student.
didn't know this, dude. So you're studying
Yes, so when I'm
and
doing
you're
the
running
business,
your
part-time.
business. That sounds like a hectic deal. What is it that you're studying?
Studying psychology, anthropology, and philosophy.
Now, how does that relate into your business, which I think you need to tell people what it is you
Yes.
do?
Well, what my business is that I'm recycling wooden pallets as well as growing trees and stuff like that because I really enjoy being part of nature and giving back to nature because I've always noticed how separated people are from like food and trees and plants and stuff like that, and I really enjoy because the thing is those things are living things just as we are, and all the time people are breaking them down and just throwing them away and stuff like that. So I try to make people more connected to those kind of things. That's why like it's connected to my psychology because in psychology I know a lot of like a way that people deal with the things that they deal with the issues is by being more connected to people around them and things around them as well. So the way I want to do that is by getting them more, by teaching them ways to become more connected with the things like plants and stuff like that.
That is so deep. You usually think of a psychologist as someone you just sit and talk to. You being a psychologist where you physically building things. You're taking
Building a
recycled
relationship
wood
with it.
and you making planters and you're building trees and building gardens. And that's such a different aspect to your career. When I first thought of it, when you said you started and have a business, it sounded so disconnected. But I really like how you've aligned your studies with your business. Speaking about your business per se, how does that work? What exactly are you doing in the business?
Well, I make the stuff myself as well. So basically, I go to other people that there's another guy that I've met that owns a business that he started himself as well, where he's recycling the pellets because it's like the stuff they use for shipping.
So pellets.
Yes, wooden pellets.
What's that? What's this wooden pellets?
It's the stuff they use for shipping. So they use that to basically kind of not anchor the weight down, but to keep the stuff on top of that. So when they ship things like boxes and stuff like that, they put it on the pallets and they transport it on top of that. So then instead of them wasting it and throw it away, I recycle it as well. And with the trees that I'm growing, I use like bottles and stuff like that because people are always throwing that away, and that's creating and adding more to the waste. So I'm trying to recycle that and that's also another method I'm using to like save the environment and the
That's
planet
so
and
cool.
stuff like that.
Where did you get this? Did you just see these things of other people doing it?
I think I've always had a passion for like plants and stuff like that, and I've always been a handy kind of guy. I've always had a lot of energy and always wanted to do things. So the one day my mom asked me to make her something because she knows I'm a handy guy, and I made it for her. It wasn't too difficult. I really enjoyed it, so I just kept doing it from there basically.
And then from there, how did people start seeing that you can make how do you make a business out of this?
I started a page on Instagram and Facebook as well, and then I just kind of like shared it with people, and the people I know are caring and they care about me as well. So they shared it as well, and the business started growing from there.
Nice. I think that's quite the cool marketing technique you use, where it's just connecting the passions. I think it's all about the connectivity and the connectedness. So with this whole thing of you growing, so you're growing the plants, you're growing them in bottles, you're making the plants by being this handyman. Then I want to take it back also to your study. So why did you choose to study psychology?
That's also a thing that has been a part of me for a long time. Like I also went through things in my personal life as well, and then I never really had people to talk to about it. So then I dealt with it, and then I realized if I had someone to talk to, it would really have benefited me. So I want to be the person that I want to be that person for somebody else where I could be there for them and help them out. You know.
This is deep. Yeah, we really, excuse the pun, digging here when it comes to planting and things. I think that's a brilliant idea of what you're doing and how you're making your business. With with that? So people can only get you on Instagram, or you planning to do a
Instagram and
shop?
Facebook.
Instagram and Facebook. Are you planning to do a physical store, or
I'm
how do they get
hoping
it?
to expand the business to the point where I can start hiring people as well. And then when I get to that point, I might rent out the place or something because we don't have the space in the yard at the moment. But hopefully I can get that connection somehow, and I'm still working on it at the moment.
Okay,
'Cause
no,
like I said, the
that's-
business is still new and still fresh, but it is part of the plan in the future.
with this whole the planning process now. So what's the actual date you started this business?
November, so not too long ago. November
Okay, so
last
the whole business is fresh.
year. Yes.
And did you have any other business ideas, or was this just one that just grew into its own?
I used to have a sort of a business, so I used to like in high school I used to sell cakes and stuff like that kind of thing, and I used to sell sweets as well because I didn't enjoy asking people for money. I would rather make my own way to get money, you know, instead of relying on other people, because then it puts a weight on them as well, because obviously everybody else has their own struggles and their own financial issues, so I'd rather make my own method to do it.
I think that's really cool, especially for a youngster. Not saying that youngsters are dependent on people, but I like the idea that you've realized that you can't just be dependent on other people. So that's where you grew the entrepreneurial mindset, and with being at school, you started selling these cakes and sweets.
Yep.
Was those things you made yourself as well,
Yes,
or how did you?
I made it myself. The sweets I bought, but the cake I made for myself as well.
Okay, and I think that base gave you the good entrepreneurship base to venture into your next business. Do you have anything more from the business side? Because when you get your degree in psychology, are you going to leave this business, or are you going to pursue a career in psychology, or what's going to
I'm
happen?
hoping to keep it the way I'm doing it now, that I'm doing the psychology full time, and then in my spare time as well, then I work on the business. And like I said, when it grows bigger, I might be able to employ people that can take the weight off my shoulders and take time off of my schedule as well. So I think it would be easier down the line.
I think this is brilliant. I know that you've been working on gardens as well. Is the gardens at your place, or is it public space that people
Yes,
can
at the
come
moment it's still in my place, but I'm hoping to grow it out because I first wanted to experience it to see if I can do it to the point or the quality where people would be interested in it as well. So then I'm first practicing at the moment, and I finished almost finished the garden I'm busy with now at the moment as well, and it looks pretty good in my opinion.
to? No, sure. From what I've seen, it does look good. And I'm sure there are people out there that also have little green fingers. And if you want to get your green fingers going, get in touch with Marlin. He can help you with your garden. Maybe even when you get your garden going, people can come work with you and get a nice public open space. Because I like the idea of the psychology behind this and how you can create this connectivityness. It wasn't just you saying, oh, I want to make these things and I'm going to sell these things. You put so much thought and depth into it, and you've seen how this can really help. What I feel this can do, this definitely needs to go online and have a discussion online. So do join us on social media, and we can have a bigger chat with Marlin, and maybe you even have some more psychology ideas. So I'll see you after the break. Welcome back to Be in the Business. I'm Jamie Thurston Wyngaard, and we've been having an interesting discussion with Marlin around linking his gardening business with his psychology degree. And I think that's quite deep, but the main thing here around entrepreneurship, Marlin, I want to unpack the challenges you might have faced when starting your business. And I think one big thing that you mentioned, or I think that any entrepreneur goes through, and what you're going to talk about, was around funding. And I think funding is such a big fundamental case around the growth of a business. When you started your business, and you mentioned before that you didn't want to depend on funding from anyone else, I want to unpack this. Where did that come from you, and how did this go about? Of your, how did you fund your business, but also how did you think of this thing of not having to depend on someone else for funding?
Okay, I'll start with how I decided to be independent on the business. And it's because my mom was a detective in the police force. So she had a lot of stress in her life and stuff. And I think that
Okay.
really impacted her back as well. So she ended up having to go for many operations on her back and things. So unfortunately, she had to go for early retirement because of that. And that put a real damp in my family's financial abilities and stuff. And I really didn't want to cause any more problems for them. So then I decided to make my own ways. And one of the ways that luckily that came into my life, one of the options was the 350s, the 350 social grants that they gave.
Oh,
And then
from the government, the
from the
SASSA
government,
grants.
yes,
Okay.
thank you to SASSA. So yeah, like I've been saving up that money and hoping to gather as much of that as possible. And like I realized that just this one source is not going to be enough for sure, because capital to start a business is no joke. There's a lot of money that needs to go into it, because people want to start a business to make money, but a lot of people don't realize that in order to make money, you have to spend money. And in order to spend money, you need to have money in the first place.
Yeah.
So I tried to be more creative about it as well. And one of the options that I took upon myself as well to get money is I started donating semen as well,
Okay,
which I think is
okay.
not very conventional, but I mean, you have to be creative with the
No,
way you
sure
get
thing. I
money as
think
well.
you're using what God's given you, I
Exactly,
guess.
exactly. Use the
Yeah.
blessings. Yes, sir. So then I've been saving up that money and I've been making a lot of sacrifices. So
Mm,
I try not to spend money on unnecessary things anymore.
mhm,
And then my strategy was to start as small as possible. Because the thing is, it is my first time starting an actual business because the sweets and stuff wasn't really an official thing, you know.
mm.
So I started as small as possible and then I tried to go to work. I started as small as possible and then I moved through the business as slow as possible as well.
Okay. I like that thing of you being able to start small. A lot of people have these big dreams of business.
Yeah,
And I know you also said that your dream is to then be able to
continue.
employ more people. But the case of starting small, what we would say in the business sense is creating an MVP,
Mm,
a minimal viable product.
yes.
And in creating a minimal viable product, that's when you start being able to turn a profit as
Mm,
even though you're saying you're doing this slowly,
yeah.
but the smaller you start, the quicker you're able to turn a
Mm,
profit and the
yes.
quicker you're able to reinvest into your business.
Mm,
I'm going to the business side, but I'm still stuck here on the back of
mm,
how creative you were around self-funding.
mm,
I think your story is a bit of a challenge of
mm.
you not wanting to depend on your parents because you see the financial strain they put them through. And I can definitely commend you on that as me looking at someone younger than me
Thank you.
and looking at a lot of the population of South Africa. Not to look down on anyone, but it's a situation of if you are able, you can.
Mm,
You don't have to sit and wait for your handout. You got that SASA money,
mm,
but that money didn't go squandered. You took that money and you thought, how can you utilize this and reinvest it into your own business? The advantage I would say is that you at least had a base
mm.
and you at least had a support because some people, that SASA money is
Yeah, it's all
all
they
that they
have.
have.
It's true.
So it's a good thing that you were able to start off somewhere and that put you in a position, not that I'm saying you had everything,
Mm,
but that at least gave you the right platform to go from there.
yep.
With a lot of things when it comes to funding, people often expect other people just invest into them. What I would advise startups is the three F's: friends, family, and fools.
Mm.
When you start in the business, tell your friends, tell your family, and
Family,
tell
the
the fools
fools,
because
yeah.
they are probably the people that's closest to you
Mm,
that could invest in your business.
yes.
You flipped it completely around and said, I'm going to tell nobody.
Mm,
I'm not going to say, I've got any problems here. I'm going to go ahead and go make money myself.
mm,
But with this whole thing of making money yourself, so you said you got your SASA grant, you said you got your semen that you that you giving
yeah.
away, that you're selling, but is that enough? And how did you figure out how much you need? How did you work the situation out regarding funding? Because even though you are content with the slow pace of your business, not everybody has the luxury to move slowly with their business.
Mm,
But in your case, was there any challenges in the speed of business?
mm. For me, the biggest issue was like my impatience because I am still young and I do still want to do a lot of things with my money and stuff like that. So I got a bit too excited with spending the money. So like I would, because the thing is, the reason why people want to start business is to make money. So as soon as I saw that income coming in, then I got too hasty and I started spending too much money, and then my business started suffocating and it wasn't growing as much as possible. So I did kind of give a balance to it because of that failure that I had, because my business was running slower than expected, it gave me a chance to be more experienced with it. That's how it basically became slow.
That financial management is
Mm.
key.
Yes, sir.
That's something I think is very interesting. How long after running your business do you start making enough money to feel like you can flaunt it?
I was
Because
surprised actually. It was pretty soon in the business because like I think I have a lot of people in my life that I could speak to and could share the business to. So they started sharing it immediately. Like I was myself surprised how fast the business started growing as well.
and that wasn't the problem regarding because you wanted to go slow, and
Yeah.
now so many people are innocent in buying your products. And I guess it's because it's quality products and the
Yeah.
things you're doing is
Of
quite
course, of
quality.
course.
But with that growth of speed, did you
Mm.
get any? Was it just positive from that,
Mm.
or were you meeting clients' expectations? Because you're saying you're just generally handy, but
Mm.
did you go study out to make wood things? Did you go study
And
out to grow plants? Because I know you're busy
no,
studying psychology right now.
yeah.
How does the green and handiness and I don't know what that career is called,
Mm.
where you build
Yeah.
plant boxes, carpentry.
Carpentry, yes, that's better.
So if you didn't pursue a career in carpentry, was the quality of your work at the expectation of what your customers needed it to be?
I think the mentality I had is that I would just the thing is the customers needs the customer service is always vital. So in order for my business to grow, I need to meet the expectations of the customers. So I would always try my best to make the quality as best as possible. And fortunately, the way I started my business was because my mom asked me to make it for her. So I started
Mm.
practicing at home on smaller things, because at first the stuff wasn't as good as it is now. But then fortunately, I got that experience to practice and whatnot.
Okay, no, that's quite cool. I'm glad that you continue to practice and that you keep on making. What I want to figure out here, why, like with that, you went into the, I'm thinking of the cakes that you made, and you did that yourself, and you went into the plant that you made, and now you learned from the previous prototypes and the free samples you made with your mother. When I come back, I actually want to unpack the learnings around all these things, but I definitely want to get people to be invited to engage with you on social media and also engage with me around funding. Funding is quite a big deal, and I think you are privileged and you have the mindset to be able to know how to get your own funding. But there's also places like NYDA, the National Youth Development Agency. There's DTI. There's angel investors. There's corporate investors. So even though your first circle is friends, family, and fools, there's also other ways to get through, because not everyone might want to move at the same pace as you. So there's a lot of funding opportunities around that, but it's also about your brand persona, and the way you pitch your funding. When we come back, I really want to find out all these solutions. So you can join me after the break. And we are here with Being the Business. I'm your man, Jamie Thurston Wyngaard. We've been at length discussing Marlin and his journey and his career, and the whole thing around funding and self-funding your business. He's been quite successful when it comes to looking after his own business needs, but the issues that arose was around financial management. And that's the things I want to talk about. Yes, you can get funding, but I've seen this so many times of people getting masses of money, millions, thousands, hundreds, tens, no matter what the amount is. When money starts coming into your account, girl, you're going to spend. Instagram is going to know. But for you as a young person, you see this is one of the things that happened to you as well. You got the money in, more money than you used to having, and you started spending to the point where it suffocated your business. But what tools did you use? Like, how did you figure this out? Of how did you manage your money to make sure that doesn't happen again to your business?
I think with me, it was more like learning on the job as well. So like, I had to have that failures where I suffocated the business, and then I learned from that, because I didn't really have much experience. Well, the cakes and stuff like that did add to it as well. I can't admit that, because back then as well, like I didn't have a lot of money, so getting that money and learning that I need to invest the capital, I need to keep the money in the business. So I feel like it was all the experience in the learning curves.
You're saying cakes, and I'm thinking, gosh, if I was having a cake business,
Yeah, I think
what's the line? Don't use your own.
yeah.
Because I feel like my cake business would have gone, because I've been eating that cake, I've been devouring the cake.
I gained a lot of weight in matric because of that. I can admit that. Yeah.
And now I think you're gaining a lot of therapy
Yes,
with
yes.
your current business, making the plant boxes
Yes,
and
sir.
making the trees. What I also want to touch on here, so you've done the self-funding thing, you've went through your financial situation of knowing how to bump your head, knowing how to manage your money after bottlenecking your business. From the side of your family though, how does your family support this business? You mentioned that your mom might not be as can't contribute to
Yeah.
you and the family as financially as she could, but she put in her times, and I can obviously say she raised a very nice young man.
Thank you.
So she did her momly duties around that. But then with that strain that's in the family, with what you're doing, how's it expected to go back in? Because I'm also trying to touch a bit here about black tax, and this is a thing that I see a lot happening to families when a young person starts working, they have to contribute back into the family. And it's not spoken about that often, but sometimes this can even be crippling to the young people, where they feel the sense of obligation, or the family puts financial pressure on them to contribute back into the family and the household. Is this the case for you, or how would you deal with something like this?
It has been a conversation with me and my parents before, but my parents also understand that the finances, such as things such as schooling and food and things like that, are their responsibility. And obviously, I do feel like I have to do my part, but at the moment, they understand that I can't contribute as much as I would want to. So they just trying to do their part while I do my part as well, and then eventually it'll get to the stage where I can give back and help them out as well.
No, I like that you actually do want to give back and contribute.
course.
With that said, the amount you contribute, because now I'm going to go deeper on this. You've been building your business. You do have these plans for your business. Do you feel like there should be a certain amount based on when you reach certain milestones, or just giving as you receive?
I think it's more milestones because I was spending as I was receiving before and I didn't really work out as I wanted to. So I feel like once I feel more comfortable and reach that certain milestones that I set out for me, then it would be much better to go for that route.
I like that. I like that. I think that's cases, even though this is just specifically on your life, anyone can take and apply that. Look at these milestones, and even if it means not just the case of black tax or paying back to your family, but contributing to your business, contributing to your outings, contributing to even other goals that you might have, and looking at setting business milestones for yourself that you know you're not going to overspend what you have coming in and be able to contribute that back into an entire completely system and ecosystem of how you're going to manage your finances. Did you use any financial tools, or did you just do the money under the mattress situation?
Money under the mattress, that was the one.
And how's that working for you? Because
it's been going good so far. It's been going good so far.
Like literally under the mattress?
Yeah.
What?
Because I have a bank account, but then I added the business money with my own amount, and that's why I started spending that money.
So that was the actual way you managed to separate the money, the finances.
That's why I think it is important that you make sure you understand that you have that separation between your own money that you have and the money of the business.
This is just valuable lessons that you, it's such a privilege that you learn these lessons now.
Yes.
The way you're doing it's very different of physically putting money under the bed, but the concept of separating your personal finances from your business finances is what any entrepreneur should do. That's probably one of the easiest mistakes that happen in entrepreneurship, is that they take their business money and they say, oh, this is my money. Yes, it is your money, but the truth is the business is an entity on its own.
Yes, exactly.
Keep that money separate. Know what the business expenses are. Know what your expenses are. Have a budget for yourself. Have a budget for the business.
Yep.
And by the way you manage that finances, it's going to be easier for you to grow and see business grow.
Exactly.
And that's why with you sitting there, you're able to put these milestones together and put these plans together, because you're able to physically see how much things are growing while still comfortably being able to live with your own and your own wealth. It's a case of being able to pay yourself a salary from the business. And in that sense, if the salary is not good enough, the nice thing about entrepreneurship is that you can just work more. In your case, you can just do more sales in your own time to increase your income. And that's I think quite the privilege that the entrepreneur has.
Yes.
But the downside of that is if you don't work,
you are liable for everything.
you're always liable for anything. Never forget.
That is true.
Never forget that. Take responsibility. Always be liable. What I was saying also with if you don't work, if you don't make any sales, if you don't make any plants, if you don't make any plants, you're also not going to get paid on the flip side. So there's this nice balance between those two. What I want to ask, Marlin, if you were able to go back in time and speak to a younger self, not that it's a long time ago, being such a young person, but if you could give financial advice or business advice to your younger self, what would it be?
If I could give advice to my younger self, I think an important one would be patience with it, to give it time and not to rush into things, not to get overly excited about the business. Because yes, it is nice to make money, but you have to understand there is a process that you have to follow. And as long as you trust and follow through the process, then there's a good chance you can succeed. And also another thing is that I've wanted to do something like this for a long time. And I think it's important, like everybody has dreams, but it's important to not just allow those things to just be dreams. Because without action on those dreams won't become the reality that you want it to be. You know?
Marlin, I am snapping my fingers.
Yes, sir.
Even the last line, I'm just saying taking action. And for you as a young person, that is a big thing. Young people mustn't forget how much power they have when it comes to action. We've done revolutions. We've tackled apartheid. We've tackled gender-based violence, because young people in big groups, I think in any people in big groups with the same motive, can be such a powerful force. In your case, I think you've been a beacon to young people around entrepreneurship. A lot of people say, I can't start my business because I can't get funding. You're proving them wrong. And there's so many other options out there that people can do, and you're doing things that might be very unconventional. And I think we can definitely discuss at length all the other funding options and all the other opportunities that people can go into. And I really definitely want to commend you on that. And I want to find out from the viewers if they have any other ways and creative ways that they've found funding, or ways that they might want to even invest in young people like Marlin with his planting boxes or his plants, or even other businesses out there. Jump onto our socials and engage with us. This is Being the Business, and we're going to see you next week with more entrepreneurship advice.